Hey, welcome back to the Joe Schmo Experience. Let's talk trad wives. All right, trad wives. That's the topic of today's experience. This is something that I stumbled upon on Reddit maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I was just finishing up my master's, and I was starting to have more free time where I can really kind of explore. And I was on Reddit, and it was a guy saying that his wife had completely fallen into this trad wife thing. He was like thinking about divorcing her because she like quit her job and all this crazy stuff. And that was the first time I ever heard of what a trad wife was, or a traditional wife, right? It kind of escaped my mind a little bit. And then last week I was kind of just rummaging around on stuff, and I stumbled upon the trend on TikTok. And I was like, what the fuck is a trad wife? Right? And so that's where this deep dive came into. So let's hop right into it. Let's really get into some trad wifing, right? This sounds like a cult. I mean, just, for sure cult. DJ Horn for the cult, right? It's a big cult, right? Now, if we're going to be talking about trad wives, understand I am going to DJ Horn every time I say trad wife, because it sounds like a party, all right? Now, so if we were to go on Google, and you were just to Google trad wife, you are going to find a ton of things, all right? Just, there's people against it, people for it, and there's a lot of op-eds written by people on like the New York Times, all this other stuff. So let's go where it started, and let's look at Reddit. So this guy, 2 months ago, definitely way more out of the loop than this dude. What's up with this trad wife trend? And he goes, even the Washington Post is picking up on it. I understand it generally, but would love to understand. Oh, I forgot to push there we go. I love for understand to explain to me out of a social media basis. Okay. Now, this person commented, answer. Okay. And I think this is the best answer. So I'm going to try to read as much as I possibly can before we really dive into a little bit of the trad wifiness. All right. So, there are currently 2 different groups using the term trad wife, and it has different connotations for each. One group is using trad wife as a shorthand for traditional wife. I use that saw sound. Meaning a wife that stays home with the kids and maintains the house while her husband works. As far as I can tell, those are only the firm requirements. The details of each relationship dynamic are different depending on the couple. In most cases, the couple in question have mutually agreed to this dynamic because it suits both, or what both partners want, and isn't really all that functionally or ideologically different from a relationship in which a man is a stay-at-home parent and the wife works. The traditional connotation here just seems to indicate that each spouse happens to be conforming to established gender roles. There is an expectation of a partnership and shared decision making. So on this one, it sounds like this dude is just happy with his wife being a stay-at-home mom, from what I gather. Okay, this is kind of where I get a lot of things. I never was raised in a single. I mean, my mom was a single parent after she divorced my dad. My dad went a little wild, right? Maybe that's another story we can get into, but my mom worked, she wasn't lazy. She wasn't, anything like that. She worked hard for, me, and make sure I had the best life I possibly can. Even when she married my stepdad, she still works. She's still working currently as we speak. And I don't think working as a woman makes you less of a woman. All right. I want to be upfront and honest here with you guys. If you're a woman listening and you're working, you're still a woman. Like, you're still, you're not some robot or whatever. Right. Now, that isn't where I would group this trad wife trend. There you go. So I wouldn't group them in this group. This is just a stay-at-home mom, essentially it would be a woman, because that's kind of what the deal is. Or else it would be like trad husband. I don't have a sound for that. Oh, nice little trad husband-ish. All right, so let's look at where the actual problem is. So another group using the term trad wife in a very different way as propaganda. I was going to say propaganda, but it's almost like Papa John's. As propaganda for things like white Christian nationalism and misogyny, which is interesting because when I look this up on TikTok and other social medias, this is the trad wife that I get, right? Now, these influencers embrace bioessentialism, right? Okay, that's a big word. Let's break it down. Now, in bioessentialism is, in this ideology, conforming to the established gender role is the main point. And anyone who doesn't follow this dynamic in their own relationship is wrong. The wife in these scenarios is expected to be submissive to her husband in all things. That's so fucking ridiculous. Which she gives up all autonomy to her husband. The husband decides where and how they live, controls all finances, expects sex on his own terms whenever he wants. God damn it. And decides when his wife will get pregnant, how many children they'll have, and see it as their duty, Morgan, my wife, as their duty to produce as many white children, Morgan, as possible to save. You want to save society? We can save it right now. You can be a trad wife right now. My wife is looking at me like I am fucking losing my marbles. All right. Anyways, I probably am. This is ridiculous. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep going with this explanation. This person did a really great job at explaining this. Now, because these different groups of people are using the same term, it's causing a lot of confusion. I totally agree. My personal feeling, this is the guy, not me. My personal feeling is that it's only a matter of time before people in the first group stop using trad wife to refer to their lifestyle because of the negative connotations in the second group bringing the discussion, which is completely true. Completely true. Like when you hear the term trad wife, you're not thinking about a stay-at-home mother. All right. Now, here we go. It's like the word incel, the word originally coined by women to mean anyone of any gender who is celibate because they struggle to form social relationships of members of the opposite sex. That's the original connotation of incels. Now, this person put a little asterisk saying, leaving my original text for transparency, but as others have pointed out, it's far more accurate to say because they struggle to form social, including romantic relationships with other people. Okay, great. It was eventually co-opted to refer exclusively to men and has since evolved to be commonly tied to things like misogyny, racism, and violence. To people who originally identified as incels decades ago are a completely different group than the individuals who identify with that term now. Okay? Now, looking at this trad wife trend, let's look at let's just listen to some TikToks here so you can just hear what crazy sounds like. Here we go. Okay, here we go.
Sorry if I'm a little out of breath and shaky. I'm currently working out in the
oh my god, state-of-the-art home gym
provided for me. Oh, my life is so bad, guys. So this woman commented on a video where my husband actually talks really excitedly about how I took it upon myself, he never asked me to serve him his plate when I'm done cooking dinner. And
that's
that is
right.
a love language for me. That is how I show my gratitude and appreciation for everything he does for me. The emotional support he gives me, the spiritual support.
Okay. This is already crazy. So this girl is working out in a state-of-the-art home gym. It might not even be her home. She might just be at a gym with a separate room, right? Like a Sweet Planet Fitness or something. And she is talking about how it's her duty to clean up after her husband. What fucking bullshit. To clean up after her husband and all this stuff. All right, let's keep going.
Love, the affection, the understanding, all of it. Like, that man is my security blanket.
Oh my God.
The least that I can do for him is...
I don't like how this lady has a lisp, but let's keep moving.
Take him his plate.
Of course.
And she goes, you're not embarrassed for her? No. Women can look at me and judge me. Y'all can do that all you want, but every time we're in public and I bring my man his plate, every single man is watching me thinking that, damn, I wish my girl would do that. My man has been told.
I have never fucking wished that in my entire. I'm a grown ass man. I can take my damn plate to the sink. I have never once been to like my wife and be like, "Hey, the plate's empty. So that means you gotta wash it. And I don't want you to use Dawn. I want you to use your spit. I want you to be like the Haktula girl. All right, that's what we want. That we're a trad wife home now. Oh, trad wife. There we go. I said it twice. We gotta get it going. This is how we live now. This is our life." Jesus Christ. Keep going. Here we go. Let's keep moving on.
By several people in our life. I can't believe your wife brings you your
Oh my
plate,
God.
though. You're so lucky.
No, you're a fucking piece of shit.
The only one that looks like a fool here is you, babe.
Oh, yeah.
You really out here judging two people who are living their best lives and they're happy? If it's something you don't want to do, cool. I'm not going to judge you for it. You show your appreciation other ways to your person. I'm not going to sit here and say that you look like a fool because you don't bring your man your plate.
This lady's over this because of a plate.
Actually, in this scenario, if anybody is a fool, it's you.
So this is a TikTok, and she's responding to a comment, and it's all about a plate. Now, the person says, you're not embarrassed for her. You don't care that she looks like a fool because this guy is letting her take his plate, or is maybe expecting that. I am blown away at the denseness of this fucking person. Here we go.
Out here, we're getting a whole flock of silly geese, guys.
You're too smart just to be a housewife.
Okay, here we go.
Yes, I've had this said to my face. Everyone wants to make the world a better place,
Different
but for
person.
some odd reason, serving our families is not considered doing that. The home is ministry. All the little things we do day to day matter, if not eternally matter.
So this also triggers me tremendously. I am a pretty religious person, even though I did go to a camp where they beat me. Or not beat me, shot me. Not shot me. Fake shot me and released dogs on us. That's a better option. Now, I do not remember reading in the Bible. Now, in the Bible, it does say for women to be submissive to their husbands, but I'm pretty positive Jesus did not mean it like this, or God did not mean it like this. You're not supposed to be, submissive the whole way. And what if you married a bitch? Like, no offense. Like, what if you married some wimpy dude who just, he's a good person. He just needs some support, needs some, help, maybe. I don't know. I've seen plenty of relationship dynamics where a guy is, very introverted, kind of timid, nice guy, and the wife is very extroverted, and she kind of definitely wears the pants in the situation. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if my wife wears the pants in my relationship. I just want to take them off at the end of the day, right? It doesn't matter to me. We both share a leg of the same pants. Okay, like we're just a unit. Now, I do refer to my wife for pretty much everything, because she's my person. Like, that's just how it goes. It's not really, I don't make decisions without her, right? These people clearly expect their husbands to make all the decisions. I'm assuming, maybe not this one. Let's keep going with this fucking lady.
Putting the needs of others in front of our own is honorable. A question I ask myself often is, what legacy of servanthood am I modeling for my family and my children?
Okay, so this one is when a man tries to fix my internalized monogamy, or not monogamy, misogyny. Let's look here. We skip ahead. Okay, we're skipping ahead. Okay.
About the term trad wife, a clarification video because of the big controversy going around about the term trad wife and the intent behind the term, as well as the intent behind my channel and what I post. If you are not familiar with the term trad wife, it is a woman who chooses to live a more traditional life with ultra traditional gender roles. So the man goes outside the house, works, provides for the family. The woman stays home and she's the homemaker. She takes care of the home and the children if there are any. The misconception about the trad wife movement, it's not really a movement. Nobody's pushing it. People are typically just living it and maybe showcasing their lifestyle like me. And we believe our place, specifically us as individuals, believe our purpose is to be homemakers. It doesn't mean that we are trying to take away what women fought for. There are a lot of people trying to make this a sinister thing or put some other darker meaning behind the term trad wife. Nobody is doing that. No trad wife TikTokers are saying every woman's place is in their home. We as individuals are just choosing to be homemakers. That's all. Trad wives also believe that they should submit to their husbands and serve their husbands and family, and that triggers people because the words submit and serve, it makes women think that we're saying that we're less than a man. That's not what we're saying. Trad wives just believe that they are here as women for a different role, equally as important though. I can make another video on that another time. To be a homemaker and to have traditional values does not make us bad people.
With this fucking lady.
It's 2022. Women should have the choice to be homemakers or not without being judged. And women should also be able to use the term trad wife, which means traditional wife, and not be shunned for wanting to be more traditional.
Oh my God. Look, man, I'll be real honest with you. I completely respect women who choose to stay home and help raise the children and be homemakers. I completely respect that. And Harrison Butker, right, in his little speech he did that's getting got a lot of backlash. He talked about how his wife, her biggest thing was, being a homemaker. Like that was what. Let's pull up what he said. What did Harrison Butker say? Let's just look what he says, and so we can kind of deep dive into that. Now, a lot of this stuff is, a lot of this stuff is very rooted in religion, but it's not at all even remotely close to something. So Harrison Butker is a very conservative Catholic, right? He goes, this guy. I think it's you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I'd venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you'll bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would first say that her life truly started when she started living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. One of the most important titles of all, homemaker. Oh, God. Look, I completely respect that, but from a fucking guy whose mom is an astrophysicist who clearly works and is extremely successful in her field, how can you say this statement, right? And I would 100% agree that my mother, her biggest success are her kids, me and my brother. I would venture to guess that. Right? I would venture to guess that my wife's biggest pride and success is probably her kids, right? My biggest pride and success is my kids. I mean, my wife is number one in my life, right? But I'm not going to risk, any sort of financial ruin because of, my wife. We're both teachers. I'm not making loads and buckets of money, right? Where we can make a decision to make my wife stop working. My wife would love to be at home and take care of the kids and that sort of stuff. And I would totally respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. What the problem is judging the women who decide not to do that and then using religion upon them, right? You're turning religion to face your own sort of weird thing that you're trying to live. That's the issue here with this trad wife, right? And there's so many different things, right? Now, if you look at, trad wife behavior, they require a woman to believe that her primary role is to help her husband and that those who don't are sinning against God. And the belief involves basically submitting to every man's desire. Fucking bullshit, right? I have a daughter. She's 8 months old now. I swear to God, if any man tells my wife, or my wife too, but my daughter, she should submit to him, I would come over there personally and kick his ass. She does not need to submit to anyone. If anything, he should submit to her. She's the best. She's the perfect. She's a princess. Like, that's how it is, right? I love my wife to pieces, and I would do anything she asked in a blink of an eye. I would never do something to jeopardize her. Now, this trad wife stuff is almost like a subculture. Now, it's really stuck up in that far right sort of deal. It really does promote, I mean, I don't know, males. This person says it promotes male superiority. I don't know necessarily. Yeah, they view women's value as one of service, which means the wife cares and bears children for her husband. I don't believe that at all. I think that's not women's purpose. Women's purpose is to do whatever they would like to do. What their purpose is what they make it. That's how life is, right? If they want to have want to be a wife and want to have children, which I'm assuming many women do, and I'm assuming many men want to be a husband and a father, right? Even if you don't, it doesn't matter. Your purpose is still whatever you make it, kids or not, right? It depends on what you want. Now, back in the 1980s, there was a phenomenon that happened that was dubbed the Mommy Wars. And it appeared in Child magazine, and it was kind of a break between moms who decide to go to work and moms who decide to stay at home, right? They said in this concept that women who stay at home to raise their families are natural enemies of women who leave for work. We see this all the time currently. This trad wife thing isn't necessarily, a reincarnation of Mommy Wars, but we see it all the time. Right? I breastfed my kid. Well, I formula fed. Well, formula's bad. Breast is better. Breast is best. No, fed is best, you dumb bitch. Are you kidding me? Some women can't breastfeed. You're a fucking idiot. Right? I'm glad you can breastfeed. Some women can't do that. And sometimes you're going to have to be on formula. Right? I'm a dumbass. I was fed formula as a kid. Maybe that's why I'm so stupid. But I like to think I'm pretty smart. I have my master's. I have a fairly successful career. I'm not going to say that, drinking milk from a tit versus a bottle or a can is really going to make too much of a difference on me. Because at the end of the day, we all know our fucking kids are going to be licking up pizza off the floor that they just spilled, just in 2 months after they stop formula feeding. So if we're just being real here, that's kind of the purpose. Now, when we look at employment, being a trad wife almost just stemmed from COVID. As people go back to work, and when women and men both go back to work, we kind of have to look at the dynamics of that. Some women chose not to go back to work and chose to either work from home or just chose not to work at all and raise children. We can see that there's the economist at ZipRecruiter saw more women stay home after COVID happens, and for a wide variety of reasons, right? Now, in 2024, the labor labor rate for women's ages 25 to 54 was an all-time high. So more women are going to the labor force currently. So that makes me wonder, in between 2021, when things started opening back up, to 2024, what happened? Right? Well, maybe women stayed home initially, but then they went back to work for whatever reasons. I think this trad wife thing is just something to gather attention. It's just different, just enough to piss someone off. And just because I'm curious, let's look at Ben Shapiro. He's a Daily Wire, I guess, co-founder, has his own Ben Shapiro show. He is pretty conservative, and in particular, I want to look at Michael Knowles. All right, here we go.
You can be a trad wife, like my guest, Esty Williams, a 25-year-old woman who has gone viral. I'm sure you've seen her TikToks.
This is the lady that we talked about first.
And MySpace
she's the last one we listened to.
Zanga journals and AOL Instant Messenger emojis and anything else. She's been the subject of very nasty articles by the libs in the media. Esty, thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, Michael, and thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. First off,
I'm going to guess they support this lady.
I was tempted to pronounce it Estee, as in louder, but it is Esty.
Yes, no accent, so it's the American version.
very, very American, very traditional. For those who don't know, Esty, what is a trad wife?
Well, a trad wife is just short for traditional wife, and it is a homemaker.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because you already kind of heard this lady. So
takes care.
let's skip ahead.
Try and inspire younger women who maybe
Oh
deep down have this desire to be a trad wife, but they're being told, no, you need a career, you need to support yourself, and you don't need to depend on a man, but that's simply not true.
You know, I don't know if the analogy to the washing machine is totally apt, because the washing machine it's a technology that allows you to live this private life, you know, and run the household more efficiently. Whereas the public facing stuff on Instagram doesn't do that. I think the better analogy might be maybe Phyllis Schlafly, who I think is one of the greatest women of the 20th century. And Phyllis Schlafly was in many ways a trad wife, and also one of the most important political leaders in American history. And she was a wife and a mother, and she had 6 kids. And also she single-handedly shot down the Equal Rights Amendment, and is truly one of my favorite conservative movement figures. That you are living this life, yes, but the way that we all interact with you is you are telling women in a really public-facing way, hey, it's okay. Your desires that you have to not like go work at a widget factory for Mr. McGillicuddy who doesn't care about
with
you.
A lot of
your
this
desire
trad
to like
wife stuff is or not with trad wife stuff, but forgot to do that. The issue I have with Michael Knowles in this video is that he often just kind of talks to them and gives them an idea as he talks. So he told her, you know, how she should feel and what she's doing is right, that sort of thing. I think that the hardest part with trad wifing is again back to the first Reddit post that I read. Let's transition out of this. We don't need to listen anymore. Michael Knowles is the first part of this podcast. When I read that, that thing, I think this lady, Michael Knowles, is. Am I getting a phone call through here? All right, apologies. That was weird. I was getting like a phone call sort of deal. I don't quite understand what was happening there. I'm still trying to figure out. That was weird. Anyways, so back to what I was saying about trad wives and to kind of close out our thing. I apologize. My cat's getting some vet work. It's a weird deal. Maybe I'll talk about my cats later. Right? Big pussy guy. So, when we discuss trad wifing and we kind of end off on, you know, my whole thoughts, I didn't really listen. I kind of lost track of where I was. When I think about trad wifing, the number one thing I really am concerned about and think about is these women worrying about things that they cannot physically control, right? You don't know if you're going to get or, you know, be in the right place at the right time to find a good woman, right? Or a good person. Because at the end of the day, that's all you want. That's all I can hope for. That's all I can ask for is just to have a good person, you know, meet my kids and that they can form a family together. I also want my kids to be financially successful. I would lie to you and say that money didn't matter, because it does. Being a trad wife isn't a bad thing, right? If you're doing it on that first Reddit post I read, that first block, you know, a stay-at-home mom, that sort of thing. But when you make it a lifestyle and you start using religion to guilt trip people, that's where I have most of my problems. Religion is not something that you get to use willy-nilly to guilt trip someone into your weird ideological ideas. Make those ideas, present them, and then if someone wants to do those ideas, and someone does it. If they don't want to do it, they don't do it. Do not force anyone to do something weird that they maybe don't want to do. Let's start there. Let's just start by being kind, being nice, and being good. And this comes from a pretty conservative person. I'm decently conservative, but I also like to see on both sides, right? That's what matters. Being a trad wife is not something right now that I feel like a lot of women should, I don't know, I don't want to say should consider, but I feel like the trad wife trend, the cultiness of it, it's something you should look out for. All right. Hey, I love each and one of every each and one of every. I love each one. What the hell? I love each and every one of you schmoes out there. Thank you so much for listening to another Joe Schmo podcast. I'm sorry how it kind of ended there. I was kind of weird with a phone call. I didn't know it was going to come through my Mac, but hey, it just does. I appreciate every single one of you listening right now. My computer just jacked up, and let's keep schmoing.